Welcome to Synergy Practices Podcast.
Synergy Practices Podcast. We're here for the Red Card segment, and I'm excited. My name is Darwin Navarrete. I'm here with Sasha Hawadpal and Artin Safarian. I'm excited, guys, because the Super Bowl happened. My gosh, and unfortunately it's over, but who the heck, really, who would have thought that they were going to lay an egg? The KC was going to lay an egg. My son had a little sign that said, "Go Patrick Mahomes," and then after the game, he turned it over and marker, he wrote, "Maybe next time."
Yeah, a streaker got to the end zone more times than the Kansas City Chiefs did.
Well, I was shocked that there was no touchdowns, but when the game started, it kind of looked like Tampa was going to take it because the flow, the tempo, was all Brady
For sure.
style, right? So
For sure.
First quarter, I'm like, look, it looks like they're going to take it. He's going to take it. So, but man, talk about who's the greatest ever. I mean, that guy.
Did you guys see him throw the trophy from one boat?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Those hands on that dude that caught it, though, I'll tell you that much.
You know he was nervous. That thing would have sunk.
He caught it from the football side of it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He got lucky. No, I mean, just like you're saying, I agree with you, Art, but what I was thinking is, man, although KC is behind, if anyone can do it, if anyone can come back, it's going to be the Kansas City offense and Patrick Mahomes with that ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And you can tell that injury, whatever he had, it affected him because he just wasn't the normal Patrick Mahomes.
It definitely affected him, but you know what? I mean, you can't underplay experience. Experience took it in this case. And,
for sure.
It was beauty to watch. I was very impressed. You know why I was impressed? Because for me, it was more of a strategic play rather than a, who's physically the best or skill wise the best.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of a strategy, and Tampa just took it.
Absolutely.
They deserved it.
We're talking offensively, and really the
defensively
is really where it all happened. You're talking about strategic.
Yeah.
Todd Bowles shut that offense down. That was crazy.
For sure. I mean, they made the right calls, and it paid off for them. So.
And us here in the DMV area, did you guys know those ties? Randall L. He was the wide receivers coach for Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then, what's his name? Leftwich. Byron Leftwich went to Woodson High School.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lot of ties here in the neighborhood. Yeah. Well, the reason, folks, why we're talking about the football, we love it, but also we're excited because if you joined us for a few episodes, we talked about the free giveaway. We were giving away 3 free jerseys. All you had to do was join our Facebook group, Synergy Practices, and we were going to pick 3 random winners. Well, we did. And I've messaged them, and we're going to announce the winners rather quickly. So congratulations. I want to thank everybody for participating. We had a lot of fun. And guys, expect more of that. We love to have fun. We want to be able to help your business, but this is also about having a little fun. So if you have any ideas, throw it our way. But let's start this thing, huh?
Yeah, I'm just curious, Darwin, how many people participated in that?
Oh gosh, we had a few dozen for sure participating.
Good odds.
Good
odds. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So let's get started. Let's talk some business. Red Card segment. Guys, I recently visited a doctor that was actually in the Eastern Shore area, approximately 2,000 square feet, general dentist. I walked in there and first thought was, wow, this is a pretty good looking office, recently done. It looked really nice and clean from the very 2-3 first steps, right? And I was really surprised because I was wondering, why are we here? Then started talking to the doctor and asking a little bit more questions, and I started to really discover a few things that took place with this doctor. It turns out he talked to a few companies and whatnot, and we found ourselves in a situation where he was given some advice on delivery that I'll tell you now. Actually, I walked in there and I noticed that one of his feedback was my operatory is really tight. So I looked around. I said, yeah, it looks definitely tight, doctor. He had a 12 o'clock delivery. It was normal size cabinetry. He was told that a company recommended that he put a 12 o'clock in there because it would save him money with the overall project. And the more I asked these questions, I found out that just like every entrepreneur we've talked about, an entrepreneur, a dentist, you're an entrepreneur. And the whole goal is, I know there's so many things that you have going on in your mind. So many things that you have to worry about when you're wanting to start a business. And a lot of our natural behaviors are to take the best of some things and save some money. See where we can save some money and pick the brains of experts. Unfortunately, when this happens sometimes, a lot of scenarios can take place and certain things can get missed. The details sometimes the questions aren't asked of the details. Then all of these awesome ideas come together and holes are then seen, and I think that's what one of these scenarios was. This doctor was told that he could save money by having a 12 o'clock delivery, only to find out his back is hurting, his space is tight. He's looking for more room because he wants to feel comfortable when he's working. He's by himself, doesn't have any plans on bringing any associates, so he's really got a lot of a burden on his shoulders, and he wants to feel comfortable. What are your thoughts about that?
I think I missed the first part. Are you saying he was told that a 12 o'clock delivery would be a cheaper route to go? That's why he went with a 12 o'clock, and obviously the opportunity is small, so the 12 o'clock does not fit.
That's correct.
Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, it was about saving money, and then after the fact, that 12 o'clock sure did not fit at all.
Well, I'll say it right now. A 12 o'clock delivery is not cheaper than a chair delivery. I want to put that on the record, but I can see Art's laughing. I mean, it depends, but where do you want to start, Art? Do you want to start with the delivery issue or do you want to start with the size issue? Because I got thoughts on both.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the red card, in this, the mistake here would be, again, the doctor taking time and understanding who's making that comment. Do we know what the background of the company or the person that told them? What are we talking about? Did a contractor tell him? Did a consultant tell him?
It was a contractor, actually.
Was it a
unfortunately
dental experience contractor? Do you know?
Unfortunately, it was.
Oh, it was. Wow.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'll start. If a contractor says a 12 o'clock delivery would be cheaper, we're talking about the roughing line. Let's first discuss what a delivery line is, right? Those are your plumbing lines that are coming in, and it feeds your hand pieces. Your suction, your air, water. That's what it's doing. Now, if I'm a contractor, whether I'm bringing that line to the 12 o'clock wall or the cabinet, or I'm taking it to the toe of the chair, it's the same line. It's the same work. It's the same quality of the pipes we're using. I cannot, from a construction standpoint, say one is cheaper than the other. It's the same work. Mm-hmm. So the fact that a contractor would be saying that, it'll be cheaper for you to do 12 o'clock, either A, the contractor had no idea what they were talking about, or B, there is more to it that the doctor has not completely understood or shared with you, or because to take the delivery there, it doesn't justify the other. It doesn't say which one is cheaper or not.
Exactly.
Having said that, in my opinion, if this is related to buying a 12 o'clock cabinet versus just put the delivery on the wall, that could have been a reason why the delivery could have been cheaper on the 12 o'clock. Maybe the conversation was, don't buy a cabinet, we'll go with tighter ops. Instead of having 12 feet deep ops, we'll do 10 foot deep ops. But your delivery can be on the wall, on the back of the chair, versus on the chair. You're saving money from buying the 12 o'clock cabinet. We don't know if that those conversations happen. Therefore, it's kind of hard for me to say black and white. But black and white is definitely not cheaper to do one or the other. Yes. If we're talking about construction only, right?
And when it comes to room size, Art kind of touched on it. If you start off with no cabinetry in a, let's call it a 8-foot wide by 10-foot long room, you're gonna fit a chair. I'll tell you that right from an architectural standpoint, you're gonna fit a chair. If during that process you start adding side cabinets, 12 o'clock cabinets, rear deliveries, you're gonna be tight, you're gonna be squeezed. I mean, you gotta think about it. A chair laying down is, what would you, Darwin, 6 feet? Is that laid out?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because he said that any patients he has that are 6'2" and above, he's struggling big time.
That's exactly what I was gonna get to. Yeah.
Well, that tells us that the op sizes are small, right? Like, and there is actually a type, a group, or a study, or a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a
Some research.
well, yeah, there's research. There's a belief that going with a tighter ops helps, and I know
Like a myth?
I know Breakaway, pushes that, and Design Ergonomics pushes that, and that train of thought works as long as you're doing everything that they're saying in that office. Because
you can't piece it out.
yeah, you can't piece it out, because we get a lot of clients that say, we like tight operatories. Here's what we've done. We've taken this course, and they're saying keep the operatories 8 foot by 10. That works, but I guarantee you, the same people then come back and say, okay, I want to keep 8 foot 10, but I need to buy this 12 o'clock. And we're looking at the 12 o'clock cabinet. It's 24 inches deep, right? We're like, well, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
You either have to go with that idea. No cabinets. Cabinets are recessed in the wall. They're jutting out a little bit so that you're not taking away space. Or you're going to have to forget that idea, go with a 12 feet deep, 9 feet wide operatory, the traditional way, and then you can go with a cabinet that works. So in my opinion, I think the red card here is, again, the doctor potentially being misled by not asking the right questions, or taking the answer of the contractor black and white and saying, oh, they're saying it's cheaper, let's do it that way, not asking why. Because if you're a contractor, Darwin, I'm a client, and you say it's cheaper for me to bring the sink, let's just say I'm installing a sink, right? Plumbing line. It'll be cheaper to take it to the 12 o'clock than to the toe of the chair. My next question will be like, why? Is it a closer run? Is it we're using a different pipe? Why would it be cheaper? Because it sounds to me like it's the same type of work.
And a little tip and trick from the architecture department at Arminco. What we do whenever a client's considering a tighter operatory is we take blue painter's tape, and you can do this at home. If you're not sure about the size of an operatory, just take blue painter's tape, take a tape measure, tape out the space on the floor, take a stool, see if that fits for you. 9 times out of 10, when doctors put it on the floor, they're like, oh, this is either way smaller than I thought or way larger than I thought. So something you can do at home. If you're thinking about a tighter op, tape it out on the floor, see what it works for you.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in this situation, I think that the doctor had a great idea that is to keep the operatory tight, but afterwards he kind of drifted away from it, and the person that took the project and managed it for him didn't take the time to go over it and say, hey, if you're gonna go with this op, you can't buy this deep 12 o'clock cabinet, and therefore it's tight, especially if the delivery is coming from the back, no room to operate. So the only thing for him to do is, hopefully he's not on the first floor. Is he on the first floor?
First floor.
Oh, no.
So the only thing you can do is dig the floor, reopen it up, right? Drag the delivery lines to the toe of the chair, eliminate the back cabinet so that there's room to breathe in the back, as well as take everything to the toe, and then push the chair forward so that the taller people can use the chair properly. Which means now you're switching to a chair delivery. So now I ask you, let's just assume that 12 o'clock was a cheaper way out, right? You're spending money, fixing it now. Which one's the cheaper way?
Absolutely.
Right? So, it's a lot to think about, and a lot of people are, they don't look at the overall picture. They're just, again, listening to, words and understanding what they want to understand rather than ask question and, dig deeper and
And the nice thing about what he's got going on, though, is that his business grew through this COVID. That's why he's interested now. He has 2 ops that don't have chairs but have the same problem. Right. And he's like, what do I do? Because I am a one-man show. I have a lot more business that I need to handle, and I need to bring in a hygienist, and I need to have another chair to bring in some income. So honestly, one of my recommendations is, now that we're stuck here, because the doctor is a little stuck with what he's got going on, unless he goes that route that you just mentioned, Art, which is a whole lot of money, and it's obvious he was trying to save money the first time around. So just FYI, just throwing it out there, luckily enough in the industry, if you know your equipment and you understand the needs of the right doctor, can you make things perfect now? No. Can we make things better? Absolutely. I actually recommended Engel has a chair that's called a Traverse chair, which is the most ergonomically friendly chair. The nice thing about that chair is most traditional chairs they go up and down, and the nice thing about this one is it goes forward and back.
Right.
So talk about a tight space. Talk about one thing I mentioned to him is, doctor, you need to take care of your back. You need to take care of yourself. And given the situation, we can only try to recommend some things, but luckily there's some solutions out there.
Yeah, I mean, but that angle chair will definitely help to maneuver around,
Sure.
forward, back, and things like that. But for tall people sitting in the chair, I believe he still has to change the location of the delivery line. It needs to be a chair delivery, so that you can move the cabinet in the back,
For sure.
eliminate it, and there will be room to push the chair back towards the 12 o'clock wall, and for him to be able to go behind the patient if he needs to go behind the patient. That depends on how he operates. Does he operate from the 1 o'clock position? Does he operate from the 12 o'clock position? A lot of doctors sometimes, they start at the 11 o'clock position if they're right-handed, and then but they end up at the 12 o'clock position because they want to be able to go behind the patient. So right now, I'm assuming he's struggling through that. If
struggling.
Those are the comments he made to you.
He's struggling.
Yeah.
You know what the crazy part about it that you mentioned is that he had never worked through the 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. So he was convinced to work. Yeah.
Because
Oh, wow.
he just started working 3 years ago when they built this for him, and I asked him, how do you feel? He goes, well, I could do it now. I'd rather not. But, and it's one of those things that we don't want our doctors to have to compromise their back and have to think and get to the point where, yeah, I can do it now. It's not the best. We want to make sure that these doctors are put in the situation to succeed from the very beginning. And we're talking about the pretty design, the beautiful building, the beautiful practice, but if we're missing the fundamentals, we're talking about football a few minutes ago. The fundamentals here is having the right size op, having the right equipment, having the right advice to be able to function and put the right delivery in the right chair, whether it's attached to the chair or the light on the ceiling. So you're not in a situation like now where you're limited.
Right. I mean, like I said, he has to dig to see why he was given that advice that 12 o'clock is cheaper. From a construction black and white standpoint, it does not make sense. But just human psychology, you mentioned something that, he's now looking to fix it, and his business is growing. He's making money, so
Sure.
he wants to get it right now, right? Before, a lot of practices when they're first starting, there's hesitation. They don't want to spend the money. They don't know how it's going to be. But my advice to dentists has been, look, if you're a good dentist, the industry is good, right? You are going to succeed. If you're focused, if you have a business plan, dentistry is a necessity. And if you have the right location, you know what you're doing, you're going to succeed. So there's no reason to cut corners in the beginning, right?
Absolutely.
Now that he's making money, he's seeing that, and he's like, okay, let me fix this. So he probably doesn't mind spending some money to fix it, where had he spent a little money before and trying to do a little more investigation and understand things and kind of take a step back and say, let me figure out why they're saying 12 o'clock is cheaper so that I can fully understand it and get it right from the beginning, that would have probably been the advice that I would give him, if he was to start over again,
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, thanks everyone for joining Red Card segment powered by Arminco. If you haven't checked our previous episodes, please do so. Search Synergy Practices Podcast. They're available on both iTunes, Google, and Spotify. Synergy Practice Red Card segment.